Welcome to case-based learning of cardiac MR on mricardiac.com. 44-year-old male presented with dyspnea on exertion since last 6 months. He had history of bronchial asthma. There was recent hospital admission for pleural and pericardial effusion. The pleural effusion revealed increased eosinophilic counts. Even the blood picture showed hypereosinophilia. Further workup was done with bone marrow, which again confirmed hypereosinophilia. So the diagnosis of hypereosinophilic syndrome was considered and further workup for cardiac involvement was performed. These are echo images and this is the strain, GLS strain mapping with the echo. There is reduced function with reduced GLS as well. Cine short axis cardiac MR images. There was no evidence of regional wall motion abnormality. No wall thickening or thinning is seen. These are cine images, long axis images, and this is CMR feature tracking images for the strain images. And as we see over here, even the global longitudinal strain is significantly reduced, matching with the echo picture. These are late gadolinium enhancement images. These are also to be obtained in short axis as well as multiple long axis planes. And it shows multifocal patchy areas of enhancement in subendocardial, mid-myocardial, as well as epicardial and pericardial layers. So the involvement is diffuse, extensive, and involving all the layers. It is always a good idea to compare the cine and LG images, putting them side by side like this, because sometimes myocardial crypts or other conditions may mimic LGE, but this has to be confirmed on the cine images. T1 mapping values, usually mid cavity short axis are obtained. But whenever we suspect a diffuse involvement, it is better that we obtain in all the planes as well as in long axis as well, because sometimes focal interstitial fibrosis has to be better evaluated in multiple levels. T2 mapping images as compared to normal values, they were normal within normal limits. So this is the latest article in European Heart Journal, which shows different causes of hypereosinophilia. Either it could be pulmonary eosinophilia, any of these hypereosinophilic syndrome, ABPA, or granulomatous polyangiitis, or asthma, or idiopathic. All these causes will lead to increased eosinophilic counts, out of which only 40% of them have myocardial findings, depending on which condition. Like for example, in HES, as we see over here, cardiac involvement is always significant. Even the pattern of involvement can be different. It could either present with just dilated cardiomyopathy or pericarditis, as was seen in our patient, or it could be myocarditis like pattern, like mid-wall subepicardial LGE. Classic subendocardial LGE can be seen, and which is another mimic of amyloid. So the diffuse subendocardial LGE can be seen in eosinophilic myocarditis, and this typical EMF pattern described as apical obliteration of both apices with partially calcified thrombus, inverted V shape, is seen only in 7% of the patients in delayed phase. So it is always important that we are aware about this kind of pattern and number of conditions where increased eosinophilic count can lead to myocardial involvement. Similar concepts can also be found on Cardiac MRI Simplified book. Please share your feedback and suggestions on info@mricardiac.com. Thank you.